Let's talk about taking the knee, though. Seriously, the thing about taking the knee is I was never particularly against it, but I know lots of fans didn't like it. In fact, let's have a little listen to the way taking the knee tends to be greeted at football stadiums. And I can confirm it does happen. Every time they do it, you get that going on. I wouldn't go that far, but I do sympathise with the booers. They're not racists. They're just people who can't see the point of this empty ritual that has done nothing to reduce racism in the game. Racism has got worse over the last year and a half since they've been doing this. So the fact that one in three clubs are now quietly phasing it out, looks like taking the knee is on its way out, doesn't it?
Indeed, and without finding a solution to racism, shock horror. And as you say, Kevin, let's make it absolutely clear that the fans who boo this ritual are not racists. They just won't be told that this form of anti-racism is the expression with which they support. The most slandered club of them all is Millwall. And I've been to enough Millwall games to know that they too live in a post-racial society where black people and white people are united in being working class together. Now, that's not to say that there's a racist problem, but this anti-racist gesture, which, as you say, started with George Floyd, which was badged up as Black Lives Matter, which was very, very seriously faulty in ideology, has got to go. This idea of values being attached to the beautiful game would have strangled the beautiful game at birth. It wouldn't have been spread around the world if we had attached divisive values like this to it in the 19th century. One of the beautiful things about sport in this country, be it football or lawn tennis, rugby union and its variants, and cricket, and played all over the world, is that it didn't have values attached to it. It was just about the game, and everyone played it. This is the beautiful thing about the English sports concept. And, you know, even to this day, you look at the All England club, Wimbledon, that does not have any such values and never will. My goodness me, you can't even wear black trainers. You can't even wear green shirts. Yeah. You know, like if you turn up at the French Open or the Australian Open, you can look like you've come from the beach, whereas at Wimbledon, you've got to wear all white. They have their rules, and football should remain like that. That is why it's been such a success around the world. And to attach values which not everyone specifically agrees with. Everyone hates racism. No normal person wants racism. But this form of anti-racism is something different.
Yeah, and don't forget, its roots were in Black Lives Matter. When they first were doing it, they would put Black Lives Matter signs all over the television to point out that this is what it was in service of. So they were, in effect, grovelling, getting down on their knee to an extremist political organisation. That's what's wrong about it. Also, don't forget, it prospered during the lockdowns where no crowds were allowed into grounds. And when they were finally allowed back, they're thinking, why has the Football Association, the FA, imposed this on us? Why has no one asked us? And of course, at one point, various clubs were throwing fans out for booing and banning them for life, which, by the way, is a freedom of expression situation. It's a freedom of speech issue. They have every right to boo it if they want. If they disapprove of it, why can't they boo? So it's sort of a marshalling of a kind of orthodoxy, a virtue signalling orthodoxy that the FA wanted to impose on fans. It never worked. And I like what Bournemouth said, managed by Fulham's old manager Scott Parker. They're abandoning it, and what they said is that they're going to explore other ways that they can tackle racism in the game and also in their local community of Bournemouth. Now, that's more like it, a practical way of going about dealing with an issue. We'd all like to stamp racism out of the game, but just going down on one knee at the beginning of each match is going to do nothing. And don't forget, players of colour like Wilf Zaha and Ivan Toney, they've refused to do it, and they're players of colour, and they say it's demeaning. So I do think it's an empty gesture that has achieved the square root of damn all, and it's time to blow the whistle on it.
Indeed, here, Kevin. It's something else as well, isn't it? It's like an authoritarian salute. There's something about it which looks sinister to people who believe, as you say, in freedom of expression. People, you can be against racism and abhor that salute, like you and I, Kev. It is something separate from being against racism. And if that's what Bournemouth Football Club are doing, that's great. I noticed that Marcos Alonso of Chelsea has long given up doing the salute, and he has never appeared on Match of the Day or in Premier League live football with the camera on him because it doesn't look cool compared to the other 21 players who are taking the salute. And fair play to Marcus Alonso. He doesn't particularly want to be outed about it. He doesn't talk about it very much. But every Chelsea game that I've been to, he just stands up there and, he respects everyone around him. But that doesn't mean to say he has to get on one knee.
I mean, that's the point, isn't it, Johnny, that... my view on it would be it's all about freedom of choice. So if there are players who want to carry on doing this, I would never stand in their way. This is a freedom of choice. So if they want to take the knee, they can. But I suspect if all the clubs say you don't have to do this anymore, all the players will go, thank God for that.
You know what? It's been, as you say, nearly a couple of years now since it was started. Racism hasn't been cured. Then get on the knee for the rest of their lives. Their children who take up football can take the knee. And this is no way to cure racism from our game. And, it is a problem which needs practical attention. It's not just about skin colour racism in football. It's also about ethnicity and nationality as well. And it's also about clashes of cultures when other clubs from other countries turn up who have a different sort of history of race as well. We have imported an American concept of racism into our country. We have better race relations in this country than that. And I think that we should craft something within the English or British style of race history which doesn't reflect this George Floyd thing.
Totally agree, Johnny. Good to talk to you as always. Johnny Gould there, sports journalist and broadcaster. When we come back, the BBC licence fee, according to 2/3 of Brits, should be scrapped. And the BBC is crying that it's lost it doesn't have enough money and may have to scrap BBC 4. Will anyone care? I'm Kevin O'Sullivan. This is Talk Radio.
Good talk.
Hot talk. Bold talk. Talk Radio.
Listen on your smart speaker.
Watch it live.